Hello, this is Lisa Rusczyk
And Donna Murphy.
with the podcast We Are All Psychic. And if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, as is a video podcast, and we have Rob with us today. Rob, would you like to say hello?
Hello, I'm Rob Thomas here. Glad to be a part of this team, including
He is
the
a
cats.
team today. We're a team today.
Yes.
There's no I.
That's right.
So, Rob, we do have a question for you right away. Do you think that we are all psychic?
I think we all are.
You do?
And I do. And I think that as we get more into my book, I'll reference that perhaps more than I normally do. But yes, I think we all are.
That's great. I love it. How did you get there? What made you find that answer for yourself?
I think that I think we all have impressions every day. I saw a number, I think it's like 30. We make 32,000 choices every single day. And as we go through our life, about left, right, sit down, stand up. And a lot of the things we do, we just think, I should do this. And we do it. And sometimes we feel like, I should talk to that person. Sometimes we feel like, I shouldn't talk to that person. In fact, I should hide from that person.
Yes, what is that?
Sometimes that person is our boss. We either look at him as our agent of success or our agent of doom,
Yeah.
And so I think that we have lots of impressions, and I think we get those from different sources. I think it can be ourselves, but I also think that this is part of how we've evolved, and this ability to get information because we want to be successful and we want to survive on this planet. And I think this ability to receive these impressions is part of how we can be successful and allows us to be successful. So
that's great. And I love this. You echo so many of the male perspectives on this podcast. So many men find the psychic abilities to be an advantage, the skills to be an advantage. And most women, we've noticed, like all their lives, they're trying to hide it. Not all of them, but most of them, they didn't want to acknowledge that side of themselves. A lot of the men on the podcast say, whoa, what can I do now? I got to make my life better. I love that. I love that difference. I wonder why it's there. It's interesting. But
well, I will add as just another point. I don't think a lot of people either understand it or feel comfortable with it. So when I'm introducing myself, it's not the thing I lead with. Okay?
No,
So in fact, I think most people would be
that.
surprised to hear what I've said so far, and maybe some of the other stuff we talk about on the podcast. I try and be true to whatever audience I'm dealing with, and I think most people either are uncomfortable with it or may not even understand it, and so I may not bring it up. So,
well, let's bring it up. Let's start there.
Bring it up, man.
Let's do it. Let's bring it up.
So
let's start. I'd love to start with your book.
Let's go.
So, listeners, he wrote this awesome book, and if you watch my promotion for this, I talked about it a little bit. He teaches us. There it is, wordless connection, deepen intimacy without saying a word, even if you're married. Not
even
a
if you're
word,
married,
listeners.
which seems sometimes hopeless if you've been in a long-term relationship. You think, well, what is, I thought we were going to land here somewhere. So anyway, keep going.
There's no land in love. It's all water.
It's all water. There we go.
So what happened to you? What happened to you to write this book? And tell us about that.
Actually, I think that this idea had kind of been sitting with me for a while, but I think anybody who's in a long-term relationship, and in fact, because of this book, I've done really a lot of research, which is in the book, to highlight, a lot of people in long-term relationships often kind of lose the thread of why they got into their relationship. They may still, and it's not like there's any dysfunction or problem. They may care for the person, but why did how did this happen? And they may feel a little distant, and often when things are said, even if they're said not necessarily, it's not some big argument, as we often kind of keep those close to our heart. And so this kind of fosters this distance. And I started looking at how I might maybe overcome that.
Yeah.
I was in a phase with my relationship where I had been doing a lot of reading and listening to podcasts, and my partner, my wife, um, you know, I am a good talker and maybe an over talker.
I am too.
And so, the first step in solving the problem is admitting it, right? Anyway, so
I haven't admitted not really.
So as I went through this, I just felt like, so many of the solutions, so many of the books, and I really think many of the books have great advice, like Sue Johnson or, the Gottmans. And so I really value that. But a lot of their stuff is for dysfunctional relationships, and maybe not just for the daily interaction that still seems to be very challenging. So as I listened to this, finding the right words at the right time and saying them the right way, man, it all seems like spaghetti,
That's
I
a good
couldn't
way to put it.
quite get it right. And, and, I think our partners are not necessarily difficult audiences, but maybe they've heard all our jokes before.
I know.
And so
Yeah.
so it's just, so there's a connection there. Anyway, part of my background and my business is I'm a business consultant, and I work with organizations going through change. And as I work with the company, we outline what I'm going to be working with them on and so forth. And as I follow this map, and I've got my team, and we're moving forward. Once in a while, even the best laid plans that even the management of the company want, somehow we're just not getting traction. And it's just, things aren't working out. And, so something that I do sometimes is that I will get my team together and I'll make a list of everything we're doing. And it's really kind of according to this map that we already have in place. But because it's not working, I just stand up there and I say, okay, what's the opposite of this? And then we make a list of everything that we're doing. And truly, it's just the exact opposite. It's often illogical, may not even make sense. And I say, okay, for the next week, we're doing this list, not this list.
Right.
And we try and do things different. And I have found the few times I've done that, I've been able to get traction. We've been able to and because a lot of times when we're working with an organization, we do need the people to engage us and want to engage us. I mean, we can't just walk in. And so they need to want to kind of buy in. And so that's work. So as I looked at this, talking, not working, over talking, maybe not good. I thought, what's the opposite of that? Yeah. And I thought, how about if I say nothing? And so I had done some research in college and had some experiences that I'd noticed where engaging in nonverbal communication was very powerful. And often in making presentations, as much as you're speaking, I noticed that there were times that when I'd pause, the pause would really accentuate what I just said or what I was about to say. And I always noticed that the wordlessness of it actually made it better. And so I started thinking about this process and started looking into what might I do wordlessly with my wife and to see if I might be able to get some traction. And so that was the kind of the kernel of the idea, is to try and move in that direction. And so that's how I got started.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really remarkable. And a couple of the things that you mentioned just resonate so much for me from having a corporate background for many years. And just the idea sometimes of saying, we're not going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to need to do something, whatever it is, we need to flip it. We need to do something else. That sometimes, if it's not, yours sounds like it was very intentional. Sometimes if it's just a question of let's throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks, that's not always the greatest thing, but sometimes just sometimes just to shake up whatever the routine or whatever the established path
See,
is.
I never would do that. I would only do intentional things. That's a joke. No, believe me. Sometimes
he's a
I
good
walk
talker.
into a room and don't know what I'm doing. And who is this guy? So,
but the other thing that you mentioned too, and I think this is so interesting, is the idea of what happens, like you said, when you would be speaking and you would pause and you would see what kind of an effect that would have. It's like what they say, isn't that what they say about jazz? Like they'll talk about wonderful, either one very famous jazz musician or maybe some that are very famous and very gifted, that they play the notes between the notes, right?
Yeah.
So there's what you hear, and then there's what's happening with what you don't hear with your ears, but then there's a whole other dynamic. And that is, so to me, that's just incredibly powerful. And bringing that into the relationship sphere and communication, particularly in an intimate relationship, a romantic relationship, is just, to me, it's just remarkable. My mind's blown. I love it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you.
So from what I understand, listeners, in this process, you had figured out that you were going to use affection as a way of communication. Is that right?
Right. And this was, yes, affection. And my idea, again, once I decide to do something, I often go to extremes. So I was going to do it without saying anything. So this wasn't like
you had no idea.
I had no idea, no permit, and no. It's not like, hey, tomorrow at 2:00, I'm going to try this thing. So watch out. I didn't do any of that. I just said, hey, to myself, let's try this. And I talk about a couple of times in the book about things that I did with my wife. And I didn't tell her, partly because I thought, I don't want to tell her in case it fails.
Right. You don't kind of
want to draw attention
to
it.
Yeah.
And so if it failed, I go, situation normal. It didn't work out. And so I did that, and the non-speaking really worked. And then one of the things I also noticed is that it gets other parts of your body alert, and it also engages. It helps your partner also engage in a way that they, again, since this wasn't planned or they're even aware you're doing anything, it is a little surprising to them that that they're feeling engaged. And again, this is more interaction and warmth that you would find in a relationship. And I'm not saying this couldn't lead into something sexual, but we're just talking about interactions and the daily course of a relationship. And so one of the things I also did is that once I had this experience and I had kind of gone through this myself, I thought that I'd had some really interesting insights. And so I thought there might be something worth sharing. And so I did some national research, and I worked with a company that does national research, and we identified couples across the country, and roughly they had to be in a relationship for 2 years. That was the minimum. We didn't want somebody who just met somebody last
Not the honeymoon phase. We don't want that.
Yeah. It's it's the beginning of a relationship.
So we chose 2 years on, and I really wanted people in all lengths of relationships. I wanted
hard to find.
Different genders. I wanted different orientations. I really wanted different work. We got blue collar. We got teachers. I got some well-to-do people. I even got this one guy. They all self-volunteered. They chose, we put out the call in different cities, and they chose themselves. But I got actually one drug dealer to participate. He talked about his relationship with his wife, and it was very, very sincere. And and so I thought that was interesting. The point is, I wanted a real good demographic of everybody. And I was really looking to see where it would land. And I actually thought that maybe it would work better with one group than another or whatever. I really didn't know how it would work.
Yeah.
And One of the things that is interesting, again, in my corporate world, I've done a lot of research on, is this marketing approach going to work, or what's the best sales approach for this product or whatever. And anyway, as I do this, often I'm hoping I can just get 51%. So I get it leaning one way. So I have some idea of if we're winning or losing. And I was looking to see what percentage of any particular demographic liked it or didn't like it.
Yeah.
Often you have parts of the groups that just don't do it. Even though they say they're going to do it, they don't. And I was anticipating this. In fact, I'd already talked to this national research group that I wanted to do a second research. I wanted to do a second set of questions after we saw what didn't work and people didn't want to participate. I was already planning the next round of research.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that we found that after about a week, this guy called me and he said, you're getting great answers. You're getting really everyone to respond. Anyway, the thing that we ran into is that everybody who signed up participated. And then everybody who participated had something very positive to experience in using these tools. And I was really surprised because, again, my experience in just working with those humans, they're random. They're really random. And so I thought, what? How is that possible? So I think that this gets back to this idea that we're really set up to be in relationships, to live in groups, to make this, as much as it often seems like we can't make any of those things work. Our physical bodies are really set. For us to succeed, we need a relationship, and we need more than one relationship.
Yes.
And I think that this idea that came through with this research that everyone was being responsive. And you can go look at the questions in the back of the book. That's what I sent out to everybody. So you can kind of see what that looks like. But I thought that was interesting that everybody responded.
That is cool. Everyone cares about their love. Everyone wants their life to be better. And that's a really good angle. Your idea is just brilliant, to have encourage people to start non-language communication, affection, show how you really feel, not punching someone when you're angry necessarily. Maybe just like take their
that might be when you want to skip
and say, you're crazy. Don't say anything. Just go.
Yeah. I was talking to a woman a couple of weeks ago about this, and I just asked her, does this seem to resonate with you? We were talking about some marketing stuff, and she goes, it really does. In fact, she said, when I got divorced, one of the final conversations that I had with my husband was the fact that we didn't do the daily gardening. And really, this book is about doing daily gardening with your partner. So, and that's part of my view, is that we all have storms and we have difficulties. We lose our job, we get a job. And really getting a job can also be mayhem making. You have children, don't have children, anything, have a house, lose a house, have a car wreck, sick family member, whatever it is. Those disrupt our relationships as well. And we still need something to help us every day to do, to connect. And that's kind of what this book is about. And this wordless connecting is about.
That's great. I know that for me personally, I love I like when I'm I'm not in a relationship now, but when I am, I definitely love the affection and the physical touch. I'm more affectionate than most of my partners have been. But it's great when it comes back to me, but it doesn't usually. That's just my experience. But that's because I don't know why. But I just love to express my feelings that way. I do love to talk like you do too, and sometimes I will over talk. So like for me in particular, for anyone who is like us, who talks a lot, and we kind of want to transition into nonverbal communication, affection with people in general. Because one thing I don't like is going into someone's energy field as a psychic reader, like as being as sensitive as an empathy. I can go in, like hug somebody and I'll feel like everything, like all this weird sensations about them, about me, if I get too close to them. Some people, not everybody, because some people have a lot of protection or they just don't project their energy into me. But so there's a double-edged sword. I really like the affection, but I can also tell if they don't, or I can tell a lot of other things sometimes when I'm touching people. You know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to talk about some of these experiments because really I talk about in the book, we talk about 5 experiments, and really the experiments, we call them experiments rather than steps or anything else, because how you experience them and what works for you may be a little different than somebody else. But we want you to try out something and you try one of the experiments. And one of the first experiments that is talked about in the process is a 5-second hug. And the idea with this is that, and again, this is one of the things that we ask the research participants to do, is to go up to their partner, no warning. They could be just in the kitchen or somewhere. I mean, and you go up and without saying a word, you go up and give them a hug and you have it last 5 seconds.
I love that.
And so and then when you're finished, you can step back. And again, you don't need to say anything. In fact, I kind of feel like there's value in before, during, and after not saying anything. And see, I had all the research participants keep journals. I mean, and so I told them, hey, I need 3 sentences. I was thinking they'd give me like 3 words or something, you know. But man, they'd write stuff, man. They really,
relationships.
They gave me some really great stuff. Anyway, so they would talk about going in, and several of them talked about that when they did the very first hug, because they hadn't done a 5-second hug. See, we get out of habit in longer term relationships of any intentional touching outside of, you know, we're going on a date or it's a birthday or we're getting ready it's part of foreplay or something. But just daily, that never happens, you know, or it's a peck on the cheek, you know, might be a 1-second hug. But I will tell you, anything short of 5 seconds, you're not going to have this experience.
When I think of a 5-second hug, I think like I would get in there around second 4 and just not want to let go. Honestly, if I got maybe 5, I'm not going to want to let go if I last that.
And that could work. So one of the things I got back with some of these people is that the first hug they gave, the person would say, "What do you want?" or "What's this about?" Or again, because you know, this is like a river in a desert.
And you just smile and say, nothing.
And so that would be odd. So I told him to do it 2, you know, choose one of the 5 and do it, say 2 times a day. And anyway, something else that was so curious is that they'd do it again and the person would engage. And then later that day or the next day, almost 100%, the partner, again, they hadn't been told anything was going on and didn't know their partner was doing homework and they were the homework. Their partner would step up and give them a 5-second hug.
Yeah. Aww.
No permission. I mean, so it became, all of a sudden, it wasn't just that they agreed to do this. The partner almost was wanting to do this and looking for permission. And since their partner was setting this up, they would then engage. And so this then became something that they did. And I know some people who do this when one of the partners is leaving the house or coming back, they'll make a point to go give each other a 5-second hug. Now, one of the things that I also want to highlight, again, this is why we evolve, and I talked about our ability to feel and even be psychic, ties into how our body responds. Our body is so in tune to be able to communicate. And so as we hug someone for 5 seconds and it's intentional, what happens now with them and us is that the body has a clock, and actually it's not really a clock, but I go into it in the book. At 5 seconds, you get an endorphin release, you get a serotonin release, all of a sudden, and not in just you, but your partner. So you get this little bump of
Oxytocin.
You feel, yeah, oxytocin. So you feel cared for, you feel loved, and you feel safe.
That's important.
And one of the things that I found out during this research is that the reason most people seek long-term relationships is for safety, as well as caring, but we often think it's all just romance. And it really is all about safety. And so we get that reinforcement. And so this happened. This is all humans. It's all humans. And we have receptors for receiving a hug. And you can even try this yourself. How you feel, rub your hand on rub the back of your hand with the other hand, and then rub it on the back of the desk. They're different feelings. The body can tell immediately that it's skin on skin.
Yeah.
And it matters. I mean, because the body knows how important this connection is. And so the body is all set up. It's like there used to be that TV show, The $6 Million Man. Well, a lot of energy and effort went into these bodies to make them so that they could receive this instantaneously.
Yeah.
And so you do that with the 5-second hug. You can do that with the 5-second kiss. We also, I talk about some nonverbal activities too, because not every.
You talked about massage. I think that's great. If both people will give each other massages, then it would be so good. Yeah, I love to give massages, and most people never give them back. That's my experience. But everybody doesn't give them back. But they feel it first or something. But for me, like I said, I'm affectionate, but most of the time I haven't picked very affectionate partners. It's just kind of been unfortunate that way. So,
well, we tend to try and strike a balance in our relationship.
Maybe
partners,
that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
And so, so part of this too is that we are having our own experience. And one of the things that I noticed with myself, and I also found this in the research and also the journals that I got from these people, is that even if our partner is slow to respond or isn't responding, we still feel elevated. And that was something that was very, very surprising to the participants, is that they leaned in to try and do something for their partner or do something for their relationship. And they came away feeling elevated for having done this.
Yeah.
So even if your partner
I felt great giving
not,
massage. I felt great. It didn't bother me they didn't give me one back. I really love doing it more than getting them sometimes.
So now I do think as you roll into this, you may want to look at what you can do that is a common point for both of you. For my wife and I, and again, we still have not discussed this. I don't know why, but when
she doesn't want to, she likes it.
when we do a 5-second hug, right after that, we do a 5-second kiss. That's not been prearranged. We never discuss it. It just happens. And there are times where we just do a 5-second hug. But most often, it also includes 5-second kiss, which it seems appropriate, natural, but also it's unspoken. And I don't know why. And so I think you need to look for those things where both of you can connect in a way and you understand that it is working. So with these partners who are less interested in engaging, you need to find ways that they can not only receive from you, but they can give to you. And so we've got
hand holding. That's something you mentioned in your letter. And hand holding is special, even in private or in public. And just holding hands. Real. There's something. Our hands have so many nerves, and they feel everything. They're really sensitive. And holding hands, I've always found even kind of like more intimate than a hug sometimes. You feel so much through someone's hands, I think.
Right. Something that my wife likes is for me to massage her hands. So we'll be somewhere and I might massage her hand. Yeah. And she likes that. So, so I think you need to find out kind of what works. There also are a couple of things that are non-touching, wordless connecting activities.
Like what?
One is what I'm calling a note of care. And the other is spontaneous act of service.
Oh,
and the note of care is really like a little 3x5, but a little 2-inch by 2-inch sticky note where you just say something simple. Like,
I love that, like a Post-it, something cute.
Right. Or even almost, or like a note in an elementary school. I mean, in fact,
you love me? Yes, check no, check maybe.
That kind of thing. That kind of thing. And it is not a time to apologize. It is not a time to work. I mean, you can do that through notes. I'm just saying that's not this.
This is the point, is to show little affection. Yeah.
Correct.
A little picture of a cat or a little dog bowl or whatever.
All this is intentional. Intention also, I have found, again, through the research, intention is power. When you choose, I am leaning into this. I am taking my decision. My right, and I'm taking my being, and I'm leaning into this. People feel that. I mean, people feel that, and so you are doing this with intention. So I had a guy I was talking to when I was writing the book, and I was telling him about this thing, and he said, "Oh, my wife just did that, and she left me a note. That was so nice. I had to send her a note back." And I said, "Oh, okay." So anyway, about a month goes by, and then he tells me, "Hey, I did that thing, man. It's just really amazing." I said, "So tell me about it." And what he did is that instead of doing one note, he did about 15 notes, and he put them all over the house, and one in her work office at home, and just in different places. And the thing that was interesting, and she loved it. She loved the discovery. She discovered the hunt. She enjoyed the whole process. Yeah. Again, you don't have to be a poet. You're not writing anything good. In fact, so anyway, the thing that he said he was really surprised at is that after she found them, she left them up. She wanted to find them again and again.
That's nice.
I think that's an example
those.
I love that.
These notes of care are valuable. Now, the spontaneous act of service, there are a couple of things at play here. And I'm going to tell this story from a man's perspective, because I think if any men are listening,
they do. Our YouTube audience is mainly men.
I gotta say, men are more clueless. At least maybe I'm more clueless. And so I think a lot of times men are they want to help, but they don't know how. And then just the way society and the way society's working, they feel like they need permission before they help. I heard from this one guy where he and his wife had some kids, and he came home from work early, and his wife was at the end of the hallway picking up a bunch of toys. And so he wanted to help her. So he steps over the laundry that needed folding, and he stepped around the vacuum that needed using, and got to her at the end of the hallway and said, "Hey, I'd like to help. What would you like me to do?" And she just looked at him like, "You're an idiot." Yeah, look, just pick something, And so, and so
at that point, anything.
We often feel that we, first of all, need permission to do something nice. And secondly, we need them to tell it's okay and that we've got the right thing. But what we've done when we're trying to do something for someone and we do it that way, we've actually added another work assignment to them, which is manage us. And then they have to check the work. And then they have to thank us.
And you just do it.
I mean, who wants 3 more jobs just to get this done? They often think, I just rather do it myself.
Forget it. Yeah, I'll do it myself.
Don't help me. Right. Where if somebody just does something, because part of it is to help, part of it is to lighten their load, but what they're trying to do is give something intentional that I care. And this could be not just for family members. I see this all the time with neighbors or distant family members where they're having difficulty. And if you go ask them, how can I help? The natural answer here in the United States is, no, I'm fine.
That's right.
And I will tell you, the more they say they're fine, more they're not.
The less fine they are. Yeah.
Why do people do that? Why do we do that?
Oh, because we don't know what we want. And again, we feel like this is a pop quiz. I'm having a terrible day. And this person says, how can I help? I have no idea. I can't help myself. I haven't changed my clothes for 3 days. Yeah. So I cannot help myself. And you want me to help you? Help me? I mean, I don't know what to do.
Good point.
And so
I think, like you said, it just feels like another task, and then the mind
Yeah.
just says, "No, I don't need the last thing I need is another task."
Yeah.
Right. And so one of the things that I suggest a couple of things. One, just go and do something, and it may be wrong. Okay, but just go do something. Go mow their lawn.
Yeah. Pick up if you bake them some cookies. If you're out shopping, pick up
or
some
just
groceries.
Drop dinner by. Just drop dinner by and say, hey, look, you can put this in the refrigerator or the freezer.
Yeah.
You can
That's
eat
always
it tonight.
so nice. Yeah.
That's helpful. One of the things that I do, because I often think, what would I like someone to do? I like boxed chocolates. I like C's, actually.
Okay, there you go. Oh, yes. C's chocolate.
So anyway, so what I do is that if someone's having a bad day, or I'd like to do something, I have no idea, or there isn't a lot of time for me to do something, I go take him a box of C's and I explain that I want to thank you. I often, particularly if it's a man, I say, I'm giving this to thank you. And I have a reason to thank. Men don't take gifts well or help well.
Not from other men.
But they'll take a thank you.
They will.
On anything. They will.
Yeah, they deserve it.
So I thank them for something, and I say, I hope this makes for a better day. And I'm giving you this because I love chocolate. And I don't know if you do, and often I serendipitously find out if they like chocolate.
They do.
And people love it. I've had no one say no, and I've had no one not enjoy it. And so I would just think of some way that you could do a kindness. It's unexpected. And it's spontaneous.
Makes you feel good.
It's spontaneous to the receiver.
You've been it's thinking about it. For you if you've never done it, though, when you're first time and stuff, and hearing it from you, maybe a listener will go do that, and they're like, "Whoa, this is fun,"
So
not at Halloween though, some other day.
Do another day. Yes.
So I would love to ask you, like, what inspired you to make a book out of this? What made you want to write the book?
I felt like, well, first of all, in doing research, I put into Google nonverbal communication or nonverbal language, which there is stuff and research. And I put nonverbal language and romance because I was just trying to find this out. There was nothing. There was not an article. There was not a YouTube.
Wow, that's remarkable.
That is.
And I don't do this all the time, but sometimes if I'm trying to find something obscure, I look for a quote from Aristotle.
Yeah.
Just because he seems to have said something about everything, or people.
So you found like a good Aristotle quote?
So I thought, well, let's see what Aristotle said about this. Nothing. In fact, I talk about some of this in the book, but this is kind of a newer thing. And the fact that it had not been written about, it had not been focused on, I felt like I'd had a good experience. This research proved it was a good experience. I felt there was an opportunity. And so that's why I wrote the book.
That's really great. And you're going to help a lot of people that you already have.
Yes.
Where can we find the book? Where do you have a website? Where can we find it?
Sure. It's wordlessconnection.com.
Wordlessconnections.com. Connection or?
And connection, singular.
Connection. Wordlessconnection.com, guys.
And then it's for sale on Amazon.
Amazon. I'll put a link to the American store in there.
That'd be great. And that would be put in the book. There are a couple of other things that have.
Oh, yeah, we'll get that all straight. Listeners, we'll put in the description all his stuff that he wants you to know about him and links and stuff like that.
That'd be great.
And all that goodies, all the goodies. And I've just really enjoyed. You're just like a really soft. You have a beautiful voice, by the way. It's so soft. And,
thank you.
But like most soft voices don't like carry power, but strength. And yours like carries a lot of strength and positive energy in your voice and just peace. You seem to have found a lot of peace in your life through doing this. And I love that.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to get this book for sure. So,
thank you.
Yeah. And at this point, I'd also love to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths. So you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And Donna and I are both advisors on Everclear. And I am under my name, Lisa Rusczyk.
And I am under my name, Donna Murphy. So we're easy to find.
We love to give advice because we're
Yes, we do.
Good luck.
And we love Everclear. So, Rob, we at the end of the show, we like to think of like some kind of advice that you might be able to give our listeners based on what we've talked about. And Donna, can you think of anything? I can think of a few things, but I'm asking if you can think of anything.
So I mean, obviously, my recommendation, if I can be so bold, would be to tell people who are interested in this and in bringing this dimension to their relationship to certainly get the book. So there'd be that. But so somebody's just learning about or discovering that they want to make a connection with their partner, either because maybe they feel like they've lost some of that, or because they're going into maybe some new territory at the stage they're in their relationship, where they've tried a lot of talking, especially because I think that's often the default advice. Oh, well, say something,
Work
say
it out,
something,
talk it
say
out.
something. And if that's like with your business example, if that's not working,
Right.
to say, okay, you know what, let's do a reset here and just do the opposite of any more talk. So aside from your book, which again, I would highly recommend, what else would you recommend somebody start with? You've shared a lot of great things here.
First of all, I want them to move forward with confidence,
Mhm.
and that they make a decision to do this, even the 5-second hug, do it with intention.
Mhm.
Because one of the things that people lose track of is that, through eons of time, we've lived in groups. I mean, for like 350,000 years, we've lived in groups, raised families and so forth.
Mhm.
And we bring with us, and a side point, we didn't develop the ability to speak a language, to speak really, until about 50,000 years ago. So we spent eons of time raising families, being in groups, hunting, building homes without speaking. And so
Yes.
we develop a whole library of ways to communicate wordlessly. And so
Animals
we
do it.
carry abundance with us. We carry this treasure within us. And we often think, oh, I don't have anything to give. We do. You just step into it and do it with intention. And that's really my advice to people, is that we all have it. Actually, you can go to any culture in the world. They all know what a smile is. They all know it. They all know about eye contact. They know what a hug is. They have
the universal language of love.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a shared. Yeah, it's a shared human. It's a shared human experience.
I'll tell
shared
you,
human. Yeah,
and we bring
communication.
it from the womb. We bring it from the womb. Babies.
Yeah,
They get themselves fed, carried, clothed, because they know when to smile.
They know when to cry and smile.
Believe me, they've got it all worked out. And they're not saying anything.
No.
So we do that through our whole life. And so lean into that. This is, again, a treasure that we sometimes overlook, and we feel like we have to be talking all the time. So
how can
try
they
wordless
build
connection.
that confidence to not feel afraid to touch someone?
It's like anything of value or anything that did good in your life. There's some risk. We don't, even trust. You don't trust until after you risk. There is nothing. There is nothing you do in life. It's not just investment or a job or knowing if you can sing or do anything. Or riding a bike. I remember the first time I actually rode a bike and didn't tip over.
Yeah.
That's very fresh in my mind. And, but believe me, that took a lot of risk riding that bike. Yeah. And so you have to risk just a little, step into it. But I will assure you, one of the things I got from the journal writing, like with this hug, your partner is waiting for it. You may not think they are. You think, oh, they're a humbug. No, they're not going to take it. They'll never do it. They're just, so try it, lean into it, be intentional. The body will take over. Just try it, experiment with it. You'll be good at it. We're already good at it. Okay.
Yeah.
We learned
That's
as
wonderful.
babies. I
Yes,
love
thank
that.
you.
That's so
yes.
great. Rob, this has been great time, great advice. You're a wonderful speaker. I didn't even talk much, and I usually run my mouth, but I sat back and I was quiet and I listened because it was the old point. Thank you for this
Oh,
podcast
Yeah,
episode. This has been really
this has
great.
just been really, really eye-opening experience.
Really cool.
Very inspiring, very motivating. I
Very.
really
thank
feel
you.
like our audience is going to love this. And just thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's been a
All
real
right.
pleasure. And I hope you'll come back and visit with us again sometime
I'd
soon.
love that. Anytime you want to
I
call
would
me,
love that.
and
Yeah.
as things move along, I'll reach out to you as well.
Okay.
You
And
guys have a good day.
whoa,
Thank
whoa,
you
whoa,
for a
whoa,
great
whoa.
time.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We
All
have
right.
one
One
last
more
question.
question.
This is
One
a
more
question we ask
question.
everybody at the end of the podcast. Do you love our podcast listeners and watchers? Do you love them? Do you love
I
them?
do love them.
He
I
loves
do.
you. He loves you,
And we
listeners.
love them
He loves
too.
you,
Oh,
watchers. We love you
Yeah.
too. Donna said it. And listeners and watchers, wherever you may be, have a great time. Go check his book out, Rob's book out, and just say hi to Donna. Just say hey, Donna. Just say it out loud.
hey,
And
Donna.
maybe not out
Hey.
loud. Maybe say it in your heart and send it to her.
Yeah.
Just like
It's
a
on its way,
energetic,
Donna. And the same
nonverbal.
to you, Lisa.
And the same is on its way back to you. Hey, Rob.
I
Thank
love
you.
you all. Okay, listeners, have a great time. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you all
All right.
again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.